Welcome to Qdabra's webinar. We're thrilled to have you here today. This is Patrick. I'm coming to you live from Kobe, Japan, where it is currently past midnight. But thank you for joining us. We have a wonderful demo for you today. This is the second, actually it's the third webinar in our AI series, and we've got a lot to show you. We've put a lot of effort into this. We've got people here that will help me with this presentation and demo. I want to thank Mel, Sweta, and Ujwal for their participation. Today, we're going to show you a new chatbot integration for your forms. So this is a new technique. This is a new innovation from Qdabra that will help you make your forms smarter. We're going to make them more modern. And there's a lot of really cool features in this that we're going to show. So 2 weeks ago, we did our second AI webinar. We showed how to do SMS approvals to streamline the management approval process by using SMS text notifications to managers and allowing the manager to get a summary and do translation on their cell phone. And that was really cool. But today we want to actually make it even better. So we're going to actually take out the validation for the manager, and we're going to reduce the form rejections by validating the form before the user submits it or during the submit process, and using ChatGPT to provide sort of a support, help, what do you want to call it, a surface for users to ask questions to in English or in any other language they want. And it's also got validation, translation, a bunch of other cool things in it. So there's, we've been pondering, what are we going to do with this AI stuff since the big announcement last November? And we've had a lot of internal discussion about how to leverage AI for forms. We've come up with a bunch of scenarios, and today's scenario is perhaps the most broad because it really targets and helps and assists your users. And obviously, you might have some questions. You might be wondering, why do I want to do this? So let's ask a couple questions up front here. I've got this quick poll here, 2 polls. Just the first one here is, have you used GPT-4 before or not? This is the new OpenAI chatbot that has taken off like storm. And it looks like most of you have been using it. So we've got about yeah, I think there's 1 or 2 people. There's 1 person that hasn't used it yet. So I'm going to close the poll here and share the results. And then the second question we've got here is, what are your concerns using this technology? So obviously, it's going to turn me into a paperclip. Ha ha ha. It's going to give my users too much time. They're going to lose their productivity because they're going to be chatting all day. It's too expensive. Oh, Microsoft's going to jack the price. OpenAI will go out of business, whatever. What about data privacy? That's a big issue for EU. And then, of course, gosh, it's going to take forever to figure this stuff out. How am I going to add to my... Well, we've done the last one for you. We've solved this problem. We've actually solved the data privacy as well, because we're going to show you how we implement safety. And this is a really key addition today in the webinar, is how do you... It looks like most of you are interested in data privacy. So let me share out the results so you can see those results there real quick. And then we're going to continue on with the presentation. If I can get back to my screen here. Sorry about that. Am I back? Where's my screen? I've got too many things going on here. So, right. So the reason why the scenario for the users in your form is to help them fill out the form, right? And mainly that means validation. That means things like translation, but it also could be other stuff. So let's take a look. And we'll come back to this slide in a second, but let's just go to the demo because everyone wants to see the demo. So here's our expense report form library. This is a modern form library, and I'm just going to open up a new form here. And this is the same form we demoed several weeks ago, but we added the chatbot. So what you'll see in the lower right-hand corner is this little, I don't know if you saw it when it opened up, but this chatbot shows up and it says, hey, I'm here to help you. Wonderful. Let's see. I'm going to be doing some OpenAI development and I need some help. Okay, so I'm going to fill out my form here and I'm going to say, well, maybe I should get a summary. So I'm just going to say yes. I've just seen this for the first time, so I'm just going to take the garden path here and just say yes. And you can see we've got the new highlighting form marching ants now. And you can see that the form has been summarized. So this document concerns the Qdabra expense report form. Okay, cool. For me, yep, I'm the one opening it up. Awesome, okay. But I really would love to see Japanese. So this is showing how we can automatically translate into a different language on the fly. You don't have to change your form at all. Now, obviously, there are extensions out there for Google Chrome that will allow you to translate web pages on the fly. But you have to install them. You have to have the users install them. You have to maintain them, manage them. Maybe your users already have it installed. So this may be not that important of a feature. And it is using GPT-4, and so we are live. So who knows how long this will take to return. We're just going to wait for a second, though, and see if we can get the result. And we're going to ask it a few more questions when it comes back. And so take a look at the English first if you don't understand Japanese, because it's going to flip it into Japanese if it succeeds. If it doesn't succeed, we'll have to mark it down as a demo error. We had a couple failures earlier today because it didn't respond quickly, but today it's responding okay, so there we go. We've got the form now in Japanese, including the drop downs, which is really cool. And like I said, we didn't actually have any special thing in the form. We just changed it out. So I'm going to select software here. I can remember how to read Japanese. And here's the date field. Obviously, we'll make it yesterday. We're going to buy a license, an API key for our development. And let's see, it's going to be from OpenAI because we have to buy an API key to use it. And I'm not sure if I have a receipt or not. So I'm just going to ask a question and say, hey, I'm not sure I can find a receipt. What's the deal? And we'll just see what it says here. This is showing us that, we're kind of randomly asking it a question, and we'll see what it does here. This is obviously proof that, okay, it says if the total amount in your expense report exceeds 100, you're required to provide a receipt as per company policy. So it understands our company policy. That's great. However, if your total expense is less than $100, you don't need a receipt. Well, I'm not sure. I'm just going to attach a random receipt because I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's see how smart this thing really is. So I'm going to add a random receipt here from my desktop that is not the correct receipt. And I'm just going to choose OK here. And you can see in the background, it's kind of doing a little bit of processing here. And I'm going to put in 20 bucks. And just like our normal expense report forms, it automatically adds a line here to help the user go to the next line. And we're going to click Submit. Okay. And it's thinking, it says here, oh, the chatbot popped up again. The merchant supplier name in the expense report does not match with any provider in the receipt. What? Additionally, the total amount of $20 in your expense report does not match. Well, that doesn't work. Okay, well, maybe I need to be serious here and actually give it the correct receipt. Okay, so let's give it the correct receipt here. I'm going to give it the receipt that I know is correct. I found it. And we'll see if this works. And so it's processing this large 6 megabyte file. It's sending it off to Google to get the OCR text for it so it can send the text to the bot. Okay, let's just try this out and see what happens. Didn't change anything here. And this is an example of validation. So it's saying here, wait a minute, the merchant didn't match. And by the way, the amount wasn't the right either. So I'm going to say, well, what was the merchant name? Yeah, I'm confused. I attached the right receipt. Okay, well, that's what I thought. Maybe I misspelled it. Okay, we'll add the LLC at the end of it. And what was the amount? So you can see that it allows the user to quickly get help, essentially, even if they can't read their own receipt. It says it's for $20. I don't believe it. I think the amount in the expense reports for $20. I think the amount in the receipt is different. So that's an example of a bug. So we can just play with it here, say, what is the meaning of life? Now this is just going to show that we are actually doing a lot of filtering and safety behind the scenes to prevent users from just going down rabbit holes. So it says here, your query is beyond the scope of this expense report form. As an AI, I'm here to help with queries related to the expense report form. That's exactly what I wanted. And you can say, gee, thank you very much. It's going to reply again and say, you're welcome or something. I don't know. Every time you chat with these things, the response varies. And it said, you're welcome. Okay, so goodbye for a minute here. I'm going to actually type in what I think is the correct amount, which I actually don't know because it really depends on the OCR and the AI, and they're very variable. So I'm going to try what I did before the demo here because I think that it was actually 36 cents. I don't think we've used a lot of the API key in the last month. We'll see if this works. Okay, so it's saying here, your attached receipt exceeds the file. So I must have passed the validation test, and now it's saying your attached receipts exceed the size limit. Gee, that sucks. Well, great. Okay, I'll just click on small. Now, what's interesting here is we're surfacing a notification to the user using the chatbot. So this is an example of us simplifying your UI. If you've got pop-ups, if you've got overlays, if you've got stuff that like validation that shows up at the top of the form and you've got a really long form, well, the user has to know to scroll to the top of it to get it, right? And that's potentially a bad UI because they won't see the validation error. So if you have a chatbot, it'll always be there for them. It'll pop up whenever there's an error. And I don't even know what's going on now. Did it work? I think we have a demo error. It didn't do anything. So I'm going to try medium now. I'm just going to try it again. I'm guessing there was a problem with the request. We did try this right before the webinar. But what we're doing is we're surfacing that overlay. Normally it would pop up an overlay saying, this is a big receipt, you want to downsize it. And it would show up in the form. It looks like it's just failing, which is not good. So anyway, if it did succeed, what you would see is you would see the form actually submit and render in PDF, and then it would tell us something like it's submitted. So there's something that's going wrong with this last step here, and I'm not sure if we can get out of it or not. But let's actually try to submit it again here. Just gonna try it one more time. I think you get the idea of what we're doing with the expense report here to add this chatbot to help users fill out the form. And I'm guessing we just have a problem with the final submit here. We'll see if this succeeds. If this doesn't succeed, I'll go back to the slides. Yeah, it looks like it failed. Mel, maybe you can look into that. I'm not sure why it failed. And I'm just going to switch back to my slides real quick. So that's the demo. And so we're adding the AI to the forms. You can see that with the chatbot. It's smart. It's able to answer questions about the form. You didn't have to register for OpenAI. You didn't have to do any signups. We're doing that all for you in Qdabra Form Services. Safety is really important. We've done a lot of work on prompt engineering. I'll show a slide in a second that shows how we did this. We're also basically giving the users some simple prompting. So we typically talk about prompting in the course of the chatbot, but the chatbot is actually prompting the user at the beginning to fill it out. So there's simple instructions. And then it simplifies the UI as well because it surfaces issues that appear in the form and they don't have to scroll around the form to figure them out. Now, what's really interesting is I've moved to Kobe. I moved to Kobe in February. And I want to just take a quick digression to sort of underline an interesting point here. So Kobe is, I was from Seattle, and I moved to Kobe not realizing, but it is the sister city of Seattle. And Kobe actually is kind of interesting because they're the first city in Japan to adopt ChatGPT, and they did it last Friday. So the mayor had a press conference on Friday of last week. This is Mayor Hisamoto. He's been there for 10 years. He's very popular. And here's his blog in Japanese from just actually a few days ago saying ChatGPT. And he's basically adopting it. And they went into They've gotten a little bit of pushback from other governments, but they're the first adopter in Japan. And what they're doing actually with this is the Japanese slide from the press conference, is they're doing the same thing we're doing. They're actually adding this intermediate filtering app on top of Teams that prevents data leaking and privacy issues and things like that. So the pattern a lot of these companies are taking to adopt AI is they're doing like meta prompting to make sure that like the user doesn't just ask anything. It's like, so in other words, it takes the user's question and it kind of basically surrounds it, encapsulates it with another question saying, hey GPT-4, here's the user's question. If it's not related to the expense report form, don't do anything. Just reply, it's not related. That's kind of what we're doing. And I'll show that in the slide in a second. So the user submits the form, and of course the form is interacting with GPT-4. GPT-4 is replying saying it's valid, it's not valid, receipt doesn't match, and it returns that warning to the user, so the user can then update the form. And then, of course, what we're doing really behind the scenes here is we've got a bot in the form, and we have an XCP. You can add this to your form. It takes a few minutes. I don't know, Mel, how much time does it take? Do you think half an hour, maybe an hour?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. It's that fast. Oh my gosh! Because this stuff is built into the Qdabra form service. We have a new webhook that we're surfacing in your Qdabra. So it's built in. If you've got the public instance, if you got on-prem, you have to update your Qdabra form services, and then the chat history is included. The form passes the user message in the chat history to the Qdabra webhook, which interacts with ChatGPT-4 to generate an appropriate response based on that, like I said, the encapsulation of the original message, and then response to the form, and displays the message in the chatbot. So that's how this is working underneath the covers. And yeah, it's easy to do. You just add Mel's XCP to your form. We'll include that in the package after the webinar. And we have a special offer as well for you today. We're going to give you free help to do this. But first, just a quick summary on the benefits. So, and before I get to this, Mel, did you have any ideas on why it might be failing? The demo?
Not really. Maybe you did a lot of things in the session. We're going to try.
Yeah, I probably broke the form in some way. I did this earlier and it worked just fine. But
yeah, me too.
You could try it again. But yeah, so the benefits are that the form gives your users this modern, smart AI experience. It's less rejections, more validation. They're not going to be able to submit it until, as you saw, the receipt matches, the amount matches. And best of all, you're really showing your end users that you're innovating. You're adding this new techniques to your form, and you're not standing still and using this whole technology. You're actually innovating. So, and this is included, like I said, in our form services online. We have not launched it publicly yet, but we will probably in the next month or so. But we have it available for customers who want to take the special offer. If you attended this webinar and you have a Qdabra Forms license, just send us your XSN before July 6th. I think that's the end of next week or the following week. And then you just have to commit to deploying the XCP injected form by the end of September, and then send us your feedback. So that's it for me. Any questions? I want to thank Sweta and Ujwal, who worked really hard on this. We almost didn't do the webinar this week, but we've actually added a few things that were really cool, the image scaling. And and while we're waiting for questions, I'm just going to go back and try this one more time because I did have it working earlier. And I'm just going to close the form and try it again real quick. Any questions while I'm doing this? Comments or questions would be very welcome. So I'm going to just demo try number 2. And I'll just say Attach the big receipt. Actually, I could attach the small receipt, but we'll attach the big one. That might be one of the problems. It might be just the receipt was too large for the current Google image whatever it's doing. I mean, obviously people are waking up on the East Coast and Pacific Coast, and they're all using GPT-4 right now. So it's quite possible that there's a usage issue with it. Although I don't think it's doing a lot on submit. I think it's just popping up that image. So I filled it out without any errors, hopefully, and there that's true. I did. So it didn't give me any hassle about the errors. It just prompted me with the attached receipts as being too big, and it's still saying the same thing. So let me just attach a smaller receipt. We have to think outside the box sometimes. Okay, we'll just attach this one instead and try this. It'll probably complain that the receipt doesn't match now. It's still giving me the same prompt with the size, even though it's definitely not too large. There must be a bug in the form mill. It's causing that. But it's still happening. So I'm just going to do this one more time real quick with the small image. Hopefully it won't trigger the size anymore if I just do the small one. I just want to show you that it does submit just fine. And we have one comment, I think, from Peter. Thanks, Peter, for asking. And the question is, do you have to have SOPs, standard operating procedures, related to the expense system in order to help the chat respond? Yeah, that's a great question for Ujwal, who's, I think, on the call. And Ujwal, I'm just going to give you the floor so you can respond to Pete's question here. And I'll make you, I'll just unmute you. Can you hear us, Ujwal?
Yes, but can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so Pete's asking, do you have to have standard operating procedures related to expense systems in order to help the chat respond, as it was earlier regarding the $100, you know? How did you get it to get the policy correct? Was it just reading it from the form, or did you actually tell it something?
Okay, right now I'm maintaining a knowledge base. Like I'm managing a file that has all the policy of the company, and our OpenAI reads that files while creating a prompt, and from that file the policy will be passed to our OpenAI, and based on that company policy, it provides the messages based on that policy.
So did you just add it to the prompt? How did you add the policy so that how did it know that it was $100?
Okay, for that, in our policy that I have stated that the receipt amount should be less than $100 to make that whole receipt, what to say, that not mandatory, like optional thing. So that's how the OpenAI knows that the receipt is not needed if the amount is less than $100.
So misread the. Thank you. I don't know if that answered your question, Pete, but we put it in the prompt basically. So we actually added that to the prompt. So you'd have to have some text in your form that was hidden, because it is summarizing the form by taking all of the data in the form, and you know, when it summarizes it, it has to read the form's view, right? Okay, we have success finally. My gosh. So here's the form rendering in PDF. And you can see it attached the receipt. Here's the OCR text for the receipt, which we're using as part of the validation for GPT. If I come back to the form, it says it's successful, and the form closes. It takes us back to the library. So thank you for your patience. And then thanks, Pete, for the quick response saying that made sense. So back to the slides then. Want to thank everyone for being here today. We're really happy to be doing these for you. have another webinar coming next week, actually. We're actually doing a webinar on Forms Viewer 8.2 and Forms Viewer 2.0. So we have new features that we launched about a month ago, and we're going to be talking about them next week. Officially, Jimmy will be doing that webinar. I think it's next week. Yep, it is next week. And then after that, we'll show you the new customer support portal. There's a question about this in the post-webinar survey. Central workflows to reduce cost, and then we'll finally get this V2 of central workflows out, hopefully by the end of July. Been doing a lot of work on it. We were hoping to do this last year, but we just got waylaid with all kinds of crazy things. So once again, thank you so much for being here, and I want to thank especially Ujwal and Sweta for doing all the development on the chatbot, for Mel creating the XDP and the slide deck. And please do let us know if you want us to add this to your forms. You're going to get some free help from us. We'll add that to your support plan. We look forward to it. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks so much. Cheers.
Thanks, Patrick. Bye, everyone.